Okay, today I'm going to share with you a topic called importance of merits. Now, every Sunday you come here to perform your puja and share merits, okay, because you come here to perform merits. And it's important to know what are merits. Some people say, oh, I do good, that's merits. But sometimes you do good, people think it's bad. So it may not be merits. So the Buddha actually defined merits very clearly in the suttas. Now, why do we need to perform merits? If you do not cultivate goodness, goodness is merit, then where will you find the goodness to look after you and protect you in your life? Merit cools and refreshes the heart and cleanses it of selfishness. A person who is born and then continuously receive help from others is someone with a lot of accumulated merits. But a person who spends their life helping others has even more merit. One of the reasons we need to make merit is that we can't be sure how far we will have to travel across the ocean of samsara until we reach the true safety of the other shore. A wise person will prepare for provisions for that journey. This is a very meaningful passage by Ajahn Kayano. And it tells us the importance of merits. Now we are born, all of us are born as humans. It's not easy to be humans. You have to strive, you have to work hard, you have to take care of the children, your family. You got to make sure that you have enough to provide for the family. Okay. And we all live in a world where there is old age, sickness, and death, according to the Buddha. Okay. So after this life, where would we go? Right? So before we touch on merits, actually, I would like to talk a bit about karma. I think most of you have heard about this law of karma. Okay? The law of karma is very simple. Good begets good. Evil begets evil. And we reap what we sow. Now, all of us are governed by karma. Okay? We are the owners of our karma. Whatever we do, okay, through thought, speech, or action, we will reap the results. Okay? So as humans, we have a job to do. Whatever we do has its consequences. So our actions, whether it's mental, verbal, or physical, will have its resultant. That is the law of karma. Very simple. Okay? So sometimes you wonder, why are you born as a human? It's because you have accumulated a lot of good karma. Okay? You need a lot of good karma to be born as humans. Otherwise, you'll be born in realms of suffering. For example, the realm of animal realm, or even in the hell realm, or hungry ghost realm. So you need a lot of good merits to bring you here today. But because since we are here as humans, we must be able to appreciate and value this precious human life. In fact, humans have the choice either to do good actions or bad actions. So whatever we do in this life, okay, we are actually creating the causes and condition for our future. Okay? Not only for future life, but also our immediate future. Or even the immediate moment after this. Or do you come for this Sunday puja, after listening to your talk, you go back happy or not? Happy. So you're already reaping the results of your good actions. So the first thing we need to do is to understand karma. Okay? But of course, some people don't believe in karma. Okay? Some people believe that everything is planned for you. There's an Almighty God that determines, how long you live, okay, who you marry, okay, what kind of job you'll be doing, in this life, okay. So if you believe in this fatalistic ideal, then you don't have to believe in karma, okay. But the Buddha taught about the law of karma. Okay, now why did he talk about the law of karma? Because he experienced karma, okay. When before the Buddha was enlightened, okay, three things happened. One is he could recollect his own past life. So when he recollected his past life, sometimes he was born in a heavenly plane, sometimes he was born in hell, sometimes he was even born as animals before he became a Buddha. And there are reasons why he was born in heaven, because he has done a lot of good deeds in the past. That's why he was born in heaven. Sometimes he does bad things also before he was enlightened because of our ignorance. And he was born as animals, right? Or even in the hell realm. Then he could also recollect the birth and death of other beings. So that's how the Buddha understands karma, no karma. Okay? So karma is a natural law. Nobody creates karma. Okay? Just like law of gravity. The law of gravity is there. But there's one man who came along called Isaac Newton. Okay? And it happens that day the apple fell on his head. And he was wondering why the apple always fall down. Okay? Because of gravity. So whether Isaac Newton is there or not, gravity is there. So law of karma is a natural law. And it governs our existence. So being a human, there's advantage of being a human. Okay? We have a mind that can be developed. So just like the Buddha, we can also be enlightened, okay, in this very life. We have the opportunity for spiritual growth to develop the mind. So we can choose to develop our mind spiritually. We can experience happiness and suffering. Sometimes you're happy, right? Sometimes you're sad. All these are part of the mental phenomena. We have limitless potential for enlightenment. But you have to be a human now. Okay? You have to be born as a human to be enlightened. And compared to animals, humans have food, shelter, freedom, and freedom from predators. Now imagine if you're born as an animal in the jungle. You need to survive, right? You need to eat. So they have to kill each other. Okay? That's the animal kingdom. Okay? But human beings, we don't have to kill each other to live, right? We can find our own food. We can work, we can buy food. Okay? But there are still people who kill each other for a living, okay? So those people are humans, but living like animals, okay? They are like in the animal kingdom. Animals create many negative karma. Humans can do both. Animals have no choice. The big animals will eat the small animal. So they can't keep the first precept. Okay, whereas human beings have a choice. You can refrain from killing. Can understand existence of the present and future life. Okay, we have a mind that can be developed. Okay, that's why we do meditation. The meditation is actually to train you to be in the present moment, so that you are vigilant, you are mindful of your mental states. Okay? When your mind has defilements, then it will perform unskillful action. When your mind is free from defilements, it will perform wholesome action. So the choice is yours. Okay? And the present moment is important because it's the only time you can control. You cannot change the past. Neither can you predict the future. Okay? But you can determine the future through your present action. Okay? So we can understand the existence of present and future, okay? Not the past, Past is gone. Understand this life is short, and consider the welfare of future life. So humans can actually choose to live a life for the future. That's why when we do merits, there is one aspiration that you do, okay? For our future happiness as well. Not only in this life, but you always aspire for good conditions in future. Create causes for the next life. The suttas that the Buddha teach, okay, always talk about causes and effect. Okay? For example, the Mangala Sutta. Mangala Sutta talks about the condition that leads you to highest blessing. So these are the causes. Okay? The Buddha explained to you what you should do to create the causes for the highest blessing. There's also another sutta called the Discourse on Downfall, the Parabhava Sutta. So in order to avoid downfall, you avoid certain things. Okay? So this is another discourse. So there's a discourse on highest blessing. There's also a discourse on downfall, what to avoid in order not to fall down. The chance to practice dana, sila, bhavana, the basic teachings, and to develop the wish to escape from samsara. This is the ultimate. So the mind can be developed to get out of the circle of life and birth and death. That is what we call liberation. Okay? So when you are liberated, you are enlightened. So the basic teachings of the Buddha is very simple. Not to do any evil, to cultivate good and to purify one's mind. This is the teaching of all Buddhas. Okay? Whether it's Gautama Buddha, Mahakassapa Buddha, or the future Buddha, Maitreya Buddha, they will teach the same thing. Now the Buddha says that the mind is naturally pure and radiant, but external objects pollute the mind. So our mental state is like that. Originally we are pure, but because of the input that we receive every day, through the news, through the media, our mind becomes polluted. Where does a kid learn all the bad things? Okay, from the input that they receive. So nowadays, parents are very careful. Limit, okay, the input that is unwholesome, okay, and put in the positive input. You can control up to a certain level, okay. Because you won't be with your child every day, 24 hours. Right? You still have to send them to daycare, send them to school, send them to nursery, okay? And they also pick up some of these polluted materials, right? And even the news that you read every day, they are all bad news. Otherwise, it won't be news. Okay, all the headlines talk about what? Accidents, okay? Crime, rape cases, okay? Politics. All these are news, but not good news. So because our mind is polluted, we have these three roots of evil. We have greed, we have hatred, we have delusion. So why do we do merits, okay? Merits is actually defined as that which cleanses the mind. I mean, cleanses the mind of these three roots of evil. When you perform an action through non-greed, through non-hatred, and through non-delusion, then it's classified as a meritorious act. So it's very clear, okay, the definition of merit. When you perform the merit, it cleanses the mind. Cleanses of what? Of these three roots of evil. So an action which you think may be good, but if it's motivated by greed, it is not. If it's motivated by hatred, then it is not. If motivated by ignorance, it's not. So it's very clearly defined. So what are the things that we should avoid? Okay, the 10 unskillful actions that the Buddha discouraged is killing. That's your first precept. And normally killing is motivated by what? greed or hatred. Right? People go to war, countries go to war because of what? Some greed, right? They want to conquer, they want their resources. Right? Greed. Or sometimes due to hatred. Okay? They don't like certain views and opinions of the country, or they don't like the race, they don't like religion, right? So they go to war. Okay? So they start killing each other. Stealing. Stealing is motivated by what? Greed. You want something that belongs to others, then you take it away. Sexual misconduct is also greed. Greed in the form of lust. And also ignorance. Ignorance that these kind of actions will cause a lot of social disharmony. Lying. Lying also motivated by greed or hatred. Sometimes you don't like a certain person, you lie about him, his character, and so on. Then you talk bad about him. Slandering, same thing. Okay, these are actions committed through speech. So the first three are actions committed through body. 4, 5, 6, and 7 are committed through speech. 8, 9, 10 are committed through thoughts. Through your thoughts. Covetousness, ill will, and false view. I shall not go into unskillful actions because okay, because we are not going to teach you how to perform unskillful actions. Okay. So let's go to skillful actions. What are the 10 skillful actions that the Buddha recommend? Okay, generosity, morality, mental culture, reverence, service, transference of merits, rejoicing in others' merits, listening to the Dhamma, teaching the Dhamma, and strengthening of one's view. So the first is generosity. Generosity is giving. Now, giving is usually motivated by what? Non-greed. If you're selfish, if you're greedy, you will not give. You give out of non-self. If you want everything for yourself, then you won't give. So it's non-greed. Non-hatred, because if you hate the person that the recipient of the gift, you won't give. I'm sure you won't give things to people you don't like. Okay? So when you give, you give with love or generosity or with an open heart. And non-ignorance or non-delusion. Okay? Because if you believe that giving is good, then you will give. Okay? Now in giving also we have to be very careful. Okay? We have to know what we give. There are three things we have to consider. One is the giver, the other one is the gift, the third one is the recipient. If you got money to give, you have to give to people who are deserving. Or you got food to give, you give to people who are hungry. Okay? You don't give money to a rich person. Okay? He's not going to appreciate it. Okay? Or that money is of no use to him because he already has so much. So the gift that you give must be useful to the recipient. Okay? Then the person who receives, okay, also must be worthy of the gift. For example, when we offer food to the monks, okay, we know that the monks, they practice the teachings and they spend their life, okay, only on the practice of the Dhamma, okay? And they can't cook because they have the precepts, okay? So we give the food to the monks in order to sustain the life, okay, of another human being, right? And the monk is virtuous, and whatever we give to the monk. When he practiced, he continued to teach the Dhamma. Okay? He shared the Dhamma. Okay? So that gift that you give, even though it's a simple meal, okay, it has a lot of effects, a lot of resultant. Right? So after giving to the monk eat the food, he got energy. You're not only giving food, material food, okay? You're also giving him strength. Okay, with the food he gets strength. Okay, he gets beauty. Okay, he gets the other one is what you call strength, beauty. What's the other one? Happiness. Okay, when he is full, he's happy. Okay? And long life. Okay, so if you give this, the results will come back to you. You also receive the same thing. Okay, the law of karma is like that. Okay, an action will give you a result. And then, as I said earlier, the monk after eating, he practiced and then he continued to teach the Dhamma. So it has a multiplying effect. Right? When he teach the Dhamma, he encouraged more people to do dana, generosity. Okay, and more people can do merits, practice the merit of generosity. So do not underestimate a small act of giving. Right? So it's like you plant a seed, it becomes a tree. Okay, and the tree does not give you only one single fruit. Usually the tree bears you multiple fruit. Okay? So the result is multiple. Okay? Just like here in UBV, okay, you come and listen to the talk, you go back, you tell your friends, you tell your children, okay, you're also spreading the Dhamma. Okay? So you're doing something good also. So it continues. But the converse is also true. If you sow a bad seed, you also get a tree where the fruits are no good. Okay, if you, for example, if you sow a sour rambutan seed, okay, all your fruits become sour. Right? You sow a sweet rambutan seed, then the rambutan that is produced are all sweet rambutan. So the Buddha said you must also avoid evil, because if you do one evil act, it can multiply also to give you multiple results, okay, which are unwholesome. So giving is actually a form of spreading, okay, spreading your goodness, okay, to other people as well. The person who receives will also continue with the act of generosity. Of course, giving is not only giving what they call it. This is the one. If you give to the Sangha, you give life, beauty, happiness, strength, and wisdom to the Sangha. And it's good to perform this such act of giving to the Sangha, okay? Because when the Sangha receive the food, they also give you the blessing. Okay, they will chant a blessing. Usually they will say, Ayu Wano Sukam Balang, okay? Which means also, Ayu is long life, okay? And Sukam is happiness. Balam is strength, okay? So you also receive back the thing. And usually the monk will also send you a lot of metta, okay? I can tell you this because I was once ordained as a bhikkhu. And as a bhikkhu, you know, your life is very regimented, okay? You wake up in the early morning, you have a simple breakfast, and then after that, you'll be given tasks to do, okay? Sweep the monastery ground, clean up the things, and so on. And after that is your meal time, the dana time, about around 11 o'clock. And after dana, you go back, you wash up all your bowls and go back to your kuti and practice. So it's very regimented. And the best time for the bhikkhu is actually the meal time. Okay? Because your body, when you work, you know, it needs energy. And the meal time is supposed to replenish that, you know, that to give you energy, and also to Yeah, to get rid of hunger, okay? That's what the body needs. And that's your only meal for the day. So imagine when people come and offer you food, how grateful you are, you know. You really feel very, very grateful. Because if these people do not come to the monastery and offer the food, you got nothing to eat for the day. And the people who come to the monastery, they don't stay near. They stay about at least 1 hour or 1.5 hours away. And they got to get up very early to cook, okay, to prepare the food, drive all the way to the monastery and offer. So imagine if you can visualize this kind of condition, you'll be so grateful to the person who come and bring the food. Okay? And automatically, okay, the thoughts of metta will flow out from you. It's a real experience. Okay? You just can't stop it. Okay? That these people are so generous, okay, with their time, with their effort, you know, that you just have metta towards all of them. So it's a real experience. But so whenever you give, okay, you give food to the monk, you can be assured there will be a lot of metta sent to you. So it is said that even if you throw some rice in the drain, okay, and some small insects eat the food, okay, this is also a form of metta, but this is not done intentionally, okay. So the important thing is you need not only give material things, you can also give your service. That means you can volunteer your service, your time, your effort to give. Okay? For example, you can volunteer your services as a Dhamma school teacher to teach the children. Okay? So these are also meritorious. Okay? You can also offer your services to help in transporting monks, okay, from the airport to UBV and so on. And also give counseling to people. Okay? Some people need help and you give counseling to them, also is a form of giving. And of course, the higher form of giving is giving your body parts. Okay? Some people, they pledge their organs. So when they die, the doctors can harvest the organs and transplant to other people. So, but giving actually is developed gradually. You may not come to this stage yet. Some people start with giving things away, giving things that they do not need anymore, like old clothes, old newspaper. Nowadays nobody read newspaper, so there's no old newspaper anymore. But old clothes, when there's a disaster, a flood, an earthquake, all this becomes important items. Right? So you may start off with giving things that you do not need. Okay? Then you give things, then you move another step, giving things that you need. Okay? The next step is giving away things that you value. Some people, they don't use the best thing, They give away the better things. They use not so good things. There are people like that. Okay? You want to test? Next time you got 2 apples. You want to give away 1. There's one big one, one small one. Which one will you give first? Okay? Normally you give the small one first. But after some practice, you may give away the big one first. Okay, the next merits that you can do is morality, the 5 precepts. I'm sure all of you are familiar with 5 precepts. Precept on non-killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, harmful speech, taking intoxicants. Okay? Now, why is it meritorious? You're not doing anything. What? You're not killing, you're not stealing. It's a non-performing action. You're just refraining. But in order to refrain, you need to have the mental condition okay, to keep the precepts. When you abstain from killing, let's say you got a chance to kill and you don't kill, that means you have non-greed, non-hatred, and non-delusion in the mind. Right? That means your intention is very important when you keep your precepts. Yeah? If you have no intention to kill, then it's meritorious. If, for example, you accidentally kill an ant while walking, okay, that is not unwholesome because you don't know that the ant is there, but you accidentally step on it. Okay? But if you know the ant is there, you purposely go and kill it. Okay, then it's breaking the precept because there's intention. There's some kind of dislike. Okay, some people don't like the ants to be around in the house, so they take the action of killing, perform the action of killing. So to refrain means you still have some compassion in you, right? Some loving kindness towards that being, that particular being, right? And you avoid killing. Okay, so this is a positive aspect of refraining from killing. Okay, instead of killing, you practice compassion. Instead of stealing, you practice generosity. Instead of sexual misconduct, you practice contentment. Instead of harmful speech, you practice truthful speech, pleasant speech, and beneficial speech. Then instead of taking intoxicants, you practice mindfulness. Okay? So this is what we call the ennobles, okay, of the 5 precepts. Because we can say that, if you put a person in prison, okay, he can't break the 5 precepts, but does it mean that he's good? Okay, not necessary, because his mental state can still have greed, hatred, delusion. Okay? But when we practice the ennobles, okay, which is the positive side of the precepts, okay, then we practice loving kindness, generosity, contentment, gentle speech, and mindful speech, and mindfulness. The third one is bhavana, or meditation, mental culture. Now, mental culture is very direct, okay? You watch your breath, okay? After watching your breath, your mind becomes calm, peaceful, clear, okay? And why do you watch your breath? Okay? So some people, they practice meditation for many years and they're watching the breath, they still don't know why they watch the breath. Okay, now watching the breath is to train your mind to be in the present. Right? You train your mind in the present. When your mind is in the present moment, you can actually decide. Okay? There are things to do when your mind is in the present moment. You can choose to decide whether you want to do good or bad. Okay? That's why mindfulness must be accompanied by right effort. Mindfulness alone is not enough. Okay? A person can do bad using mindfulness. For example, a sniper, right? When he wants to shoot his target, he has to be very mindful. Otherwise, he shoot the wrong target. Right? But his action is wrong. Okay? Because it's not accompanied by right effort. Now, right effort means the effort to abandon unwholesome thoughts that is in the mind, okay? Already in the mind. The effort to abandon the bad intention that has not a reason. Okay? And also the effort to maintain the good that has a reason. The fourth one is to arouse the goodness that have not a reason in the mind. So this is a fourfold effort. Okay? Abandon evil, develop goodness in the mind. So bhavana is a mental training. Okay? It's to train the mind to dwell in wholesome thoughts, wholesome intention. Okay? So some people say, oh, when you meditate, you shouldn't think of anything. Right? No, even if you don't want to think of anything, the thoughts will arise. Okay? Now, when these thoughts arise, then you use the fourfold effort to check whether these thoughts are beneficial. Okay? These thoughts are appropriate. These thoughts are relevant. Or these thoughts are realistic. Right? So these are the criteria, okay, that you determine, whether your intentions are right or wrong. Right? So without this right effort, again, mindfulness will bring you to, may bring you to unwholesome things. Okay? So bhavana is very important, and it's one way of purifying the mind. The precepts are there to reduce your gross defilements. But when you do bhavana, the more subtle defilements will arise. Okay? And this is where you use right effort to overcome these subtle defilements. Okay? So without doing meditation, you still have the subtle defilements underlying in the mental states. The next meritorious deed you can do is reverence, okay? Paying respect to the Buddha. Okay, this morning you came, do puja. Before that, you bow 3 times to the Buddha. Okay? Now, it may seem very ritualistic, to bow to a stone image. Yeah? And some people say that, Buddhists are idol worshipper. Right? Now, we do not worship the Buddha. Right? When we bow to the Buddha, we are actually showing our respect. Right? And why do we need to show respect? Because if we don't have respect, there is no humility. Okay? When you put your head touching the floor, actually you need a lot of humility to do that, no? Okay, because the head is the most precious thing, is where your gray matter is, okay? Where your intelligence, all these are stored, And to put that on the floor is the lowest point, you have a lot of humility in you. This is the highest form of paying respect, by bowing down. Now, why do we bow down? We bow down before the Buddha is because the Buddha is an enlightened being, okay? And he has these 3 special qualities, right? Of compassion, wisdom, and purity. Or compassion, purity, and wisdom. So, when we bow before the Buddha, we bow to his virtues. Okay? To a being who has developed his mind to the highest level. Okay? Now, what do you mean by having compassion? Okay? The Buddha having great compassion. If you study the life of the Buddha, you know that he was a prince before he became a Buddha. He left the palace. Now, why does he leave the palace? As a prince, he can enjoy so many things. He has so much luxury in his life. Okay? But he left the palace out of compassion for mankind. Because he sees suffering, and then he wants to find a cause to the end of suffering. So he left the palace in order for him to seek the truth. Right? So the Buddha, not only after his enlightenment, he could easily go to the forest and live in the forest for the rest of his life. Okay? And after he died, then he's not reborn again. But out of compassion, he teach the Dhamma for 45 years. Okay? And in the process, he set up a community called the Order of the Monks and Nuns, right? In order to spread the Dhamma. Because these are the people, after learning from him, they practice and become enlightened. And in turn, they ordain other monks and also help other people to become enlightened. Okay? So out of compassion for humans, okay, for mankind, he teach the Dhamma for 45 years, and he slept only 1 hour a day. Even at night, he teach the Dhamma to the Devas. The Devas will come to him, and he teach the Dhamma. So the Buddha has what we call oceanless compassion, ocean-like compassion. It's as huge as the ocean, limitless. And after the Buddha became enlightened, okay, he is pure. That means the Buddha does not have greed, hatred, delusion. He has eradicated all defilements. Okay? If we look at ourselves as unenlightened beings, there are still greed, hatred, and delusion. Okay? So the Buddha has great purity. Okay? He does not break any of the moral laws. Okay? In fact, the Buddha don't have to keep precept because there's no more defilements in his mind. And the Buddha has great wisdom. The wisdom of seeing things clearly, seeing things as they are, seeing things as impermanent, non-self, and unsatisfactory. So this is the wisdom that we should also try to develop, right, as a practitioner. Because if we do not see these three characteristics, then our attachment will be very strong. Okay? If we see things as permanent, we want to have it, and we don't expect it to disappear from us, right? Then our attachment is strong. When our attachment is strong, then it leads to clinging. Okay? We cling to the things that we have. And also, clinging leads to becoming. Becoming leads to birth. Birth leads to old age, sickness, and death. Okay? So one thing leads to another. So we have to cut off the attachment, cut off the craving. And how do we do that is to practice meditation, bhavana, so that the mind can see clearly, okay, can have clear comprehension of all mental and physical phenomena. Okay? Many people are attached to their body. They don't want to grow old. Okay? They don't want to fall sick. Of course, nobody wants to die. But this is natural. Okay? You cannot go against these three characteristics of the body. So the only way to see this anicca, dukkha, anicca, anatta, okay, impermanence, unsatisfactoriness, and non-self is through developing a clear mind. Okay, a clear mind. Okay, so reverence is practicing respect, okay, not only to the Buddha, but also to monks, because the monks keep 227 precepts. Okay, their virtues are higher than us. Right? Also respect to elders, okay, and so on. Then service is another meritorious deed. It's part of dana, okay, but in the form of time, giving your time and effort. Right? Sharing of merits. Now, usually when we perform merits, we share merits. Share merits with who? Share merits with the devas. We transfer merits. After that, why do we share merits with the devas? Okay. Now, devas are heavenly beings. Because of their good deeds, all this, they are born in a heavenly realm. So you want to be born as a deva, very easy. do more merits. And now, when they are born in devas is the sensual realm where they enjoy everything. They have all they need. They have happiness all the time. And there's no chance for you to do merits in the deva realm. Because everybody is happy, okay? They don't suffer, okay? They don't need money, they don't need food. So there's no chance for you to perform merits. So the devas also need merits, because if they don't have additional merits, after they finish their good karma, they will be reborn again. Probably depending on what they do, their previous karma, they may be reborn again in the human realm, or maybe in the hell realm, or in the animal realm. Okay. So devas also need merits. Okay. So when you share merits with them, they rejoice. They rejoice and they bless you. So when they bless you, they also get merits. So in the end, they also perform merits. So when we share merits with the devas, it is actually a form of merit. It's giving away. But when we share merits with the deva, it doesn't mean we have less merits. In fact, we have more merits. Because your mental state, okay, determines the happiness in the mind. So sharing of merits, then the next one is transference of merits. So just now you chanted, idam me natidam hotu sukita hontu natayo. Right? It is actually sharing merits with the departed relatives. Right? So these departed relatives, when they know that you share merits, they rejoice, they become happy. And when they become happy, they can be reborn in a better realm. Okay? If they are born in a lower realm. Okay, the next one is listening to the Dhamma. That is what you're doing now. You actually perform merits now. Why are you performing merits now? Because when you listen to the Dhamma, your mind is free from greed, hatred, and delusion. Or is it filled with greed, hatred, delusion? Normally, it's not. Normally, it's not. If you listen attentively, mindfully, then your mind is free from greed, free from hatred. Because the Dhamma does not take sides, okay? It's not about unwholesome things, okay? We always talk about wholesome causes and effect. And the mind becomes calm and serene. So not like when you listen to a political talk, where people blame each other, then you tend to take sides, okay? So here you don't take sides. So your mind becomes peaceful, calm and serene. So when you listen to Dhamma also, you reduce your ignorance. Because ignorance is what we call avijja, lack of knowledge. So when you listen to Dhamma, you gain some knowledge, which is called vijja. And this vijja, just by listening, you can gain some wisdom. Remember the Venerable Sariputta? He just had to listen to one verse from one of the disciples of the Buddha. And he became a stream winner, the first stage of sainthood. But because Venerable Sariputta has a lot of wisdom. But for us, whatever we hear, okay, it definitely increases our knowledge. Our knowledge. And from there, if we contemplate on it, then we even gain more wisdom. So listening to the Dhamma is important for us to develop wisdom. Then teaching the Dhamma. Of course, you don't have to be a speaker to teach the Dhamma. Okay, you can teach the Dhamma to smaller group, to your friends, through discussions. Okay, you can teach Dhamma to your children through examples. Okay, so there are many ways to teach the Dhamma. Okay, not necessarily in a public talk or so on. Okay, so through example also is very good. Okay, through your generosity, through your practice of precept, through your meditation. Okay, and people see you happy, calm, okay, full of loving kindness, so they can learn from you in that way also. Then from listening to Dhamma and teaching the Dhamma, you straighten your views. Now developing right view is very important because in a Noble Eightfold Path, the first factor is actually right view. So if you have the wrong view, it leads us to wrong practice. If you have the right view, then it leads us to right practice. So right view is always the leader. So that's the reason why you must listen to the Dhamma first before you practice. You cannot practice without listening to the Dhamma. Otherwise you go in the wrong direction. So the path always starts with the right view, then right thought, Okay? Right view leads you to right thought. Right thought leads you to right action, right speech, right livelihood. Then you have right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. Okay? But again, these are not linear. Okay? It is in a circle. Okay? After you have developed right concentration, it increases your right view. Because when your mind is clear, you can see things better. When you see things better, you develop more right view. Right? But it always starts with right view. Right? But as you go down the line, it goes back to right view again. It increases the right view. So in the Noble Eightfold Path, there are 3 leaders out of the 8. Right view, right effort, and right mindfulness. Right? First you start with right view, but without effort also no use. Right? You can listen to all the talks in the YouTube, all the monks, from all the monks, but after listening and have right view, but you don't put in the effort to practice. So it's no use. So right view, if you have right effort, then you put in right mindfulness. Right? So these 2 will ultimately lead you to right thought and right action. Because when you train the mind mindfully, then it leads you to right thought. Right thought leads you to right speech, right action, and right livelihood. Yeah. So the path, you see, the path, the Noble Eightfold Path, is where we practice and we develop more and more merits. Okay, it is the path that leads you out of suffering. So, what are the results of practicing these 10 characteristics? If you're wealthy, next life you'll be born wealthy. If you have very good moral values, you'll be born in a noble family and states of happiness. If you practice meditation, you'll be born in a higher planes. If you practice reverence, you have noble parentage. You practice service, you have a large retinue. So now you know some politicians, they have large retinue. How? Why? Because they give a lot of service. Transference of merit give in abundance in future life. If you share, rejoice in other people's merits, you are productive of joy wherever one is born. If you listen to the Dhamma, it's conducive to wisdom. Teaching the Dhamma, conducive to wisdom. And strengthening of one's view, also wisdom. Okay? So there are many benefits from performing merits. Okay, so it also contributes to society because each activity must have a multiplying effect. Okay, as I said earlier, you do not underestimate your good deeds. Okay, because it multiplies. Okay, one seed will give you multiple fruits. It inculcates good values in serving to reduce the ego, selfishness by encouraging selfless service. So when you do merits, you reduces your selfishness for the benefit of others. Every contribution, be it monetary or in kind, must come from the heart. So when you do dana, okay, it must come from the heart. When you do service, it must come from the heart. Be joyous that it benefits thousands or millions of sentient beings. And also, when we do merits, it's contagious. Okay? So merits is not something is for yourself, but it's also for the whole community. Okay? You find that some merits, it benefits the whole community. Of course, meditation, you do it for yourself. You cannot do it for others. Okay, so we have this precious human life. So what should we do? We should try to be enlightened. Okay? And if you are not enlightened, okay, the next step is to attain at least the first stage of Sainthood. Okay, so sotapan, so that you don't fall into the lower realm in future. Now, if you can't achieve that, never mind. Ensure that you're born as humans with the condition for happiness and a meaningful life. So at least in the next life, you have to be reborn as a human being so that you can continue your practice. Sometimes to be born as a deva is not so good because your life is very long and you tend to enjoy. And when you enjoy, you forget about your practice. Okay? And still, back to the human realm is still the best. Okay? You can choose, okay, to do good or to do bad. Okay? But if the conditions are right, okay, then you will continue to do good. Okay? And again, there's one thing that people ask about marriage is that as long as you perform marriage is not the end, you know, because whatever you do, it has its resultant. So you still be in the rounds of rebirth. Okay? Either you are born in a good realm or a bad realm, depending on how much good you have, how much bad you have. So you're still in the realms of samsara. Okay? But actually it's a means for you to create conditions for your liberation. Because without merits, you don't have the condition. Okay, today you can come here to listen to Dhamma is because of your merits. Okay, those people who have to work on Sunday cannot come because they don't have enough merits. They have to work on Sunday. Okay, their condition is not there for them to practice. Okay? Some people, they say, oh, I'm still young, I don't have to practice. Again, condition. Okay? But it doesn't mean that when you're young, you don't practice. Okay? So we have to have enough wisdom to contemplate that life is short and life is uncertain. Okay? Even though we are young, death can strike. So you reflect on that, you need certain level of wisdom. Okay? And that will give rise to urgency of practice. Okay? And if you recollect the law of karma, you are the owner of your own karma, there's more reason for you to practice, to do more merits. Because merits open the doors for more things to come, for more good conditions to arise. If you don't have merits, then slowly you use up your old merits. Then one day you got no more merits. Okay? When you got no more merits, then the bad results of the past karma may ripen. Okay? And then you lose the opportunity again. Okay? So merits is there for us to cultivate, okay? And for us to create the causes, okay, for better conditions in our practice towards liberation. So merits is not the end. You still have to put in a lot of effort, the fourfold effort, to abandon greed, hatred, and delusion. But formal merits is the beginning, okay? It's a realization that the mental defilements are there. If you don't get rid of the defilements, greed, craving will arise. Craving will arise, and craving leads to attachment. Attachment leads to becoming, clinging. Clinging leads to becoming. And the process of rebirth will go on and on and on, okay? Without we realizing it. So to put an end to this circle of life and death, we have to start off with merits. Okay? You cannot say, oh, I just go and meditate and like the Buddha, become enlightened. Okay? But you must remember that the Buddha, when he was striving to become a Buddha, he also need to do a lot of merits. Right? He performed a lot of merits so that he can cultivate the virtues and the paramis, the perfections to become a Buddha. So this is my sharing this morning, and I hope you grow in wisdom.